What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dog Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo. Oh, me so horny. Oh, me so stupid. And we are off to a banger start because we're dropping more accents on the show. We're going to piss some people off today. I don't know if you are on social media recently, Evo, but people are very unhappy with you and what your predictions were for last week. But we're going to go through some more predictions today. We're going to talk AFC. NFC South. Bijan Robinson gets a huge contract. We got NFL football literally just days away. MLB trade deadline happened, and we're going to have to talk about it because it is one of the major stories taking place in not only the sports world, but all of America right now. We're going to talk about the WNBA and Sophie Cunningham. But my man, Evo, welcome into the show, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I social media some, but not to the extent to know that people were upset with me. I just kind of assume that all the time. But if you ain't pissing people off, you ain't doing your job right in most cases. So that's fine. Like we said last time, everyone should probably try the exercise themselves and try to do it from a non-biased lens as much as possible. It's difficult. It is difficult. I can promise you that. But other than that, I'm doing good, man. Look, I told you yesterday we had a crazy storm roll through here in southern Arizona. We've had crazy monsoons here before. This one, for about like a minute and 45 seconds, though, had insane winds. Had major tree damage, people's windows getting shattered on my street. My boys no longer have a trampoline in the backyard because that motherfucker ripped the 2 feet stakes out and the cinder blocks that were holding it down. And it flew good 20, 30 yards into a neighbor's yard. And thankfully no damage there to their house from that. Ripped open a steel gate off of a concrete wall that I've got around my house. Yeah, pretty crazy storm. And technically, according to my local SWO, could happen again tonight. So if I just leave the show, power outage probably or something like that. But as of right now, everything looks gorgeous out here in Sierra Vista. I'm happy to be here, happy to talk football and all these sports because, look, training camp is going on. Pads are on. It is awesome. I'm getting daily reports. It sucks. If my boys weren't here in town, I'm pretty sure that I would be doing a little bit of a tour around the country right now. One, I could be TDY in Alabama currently, but I'm not. Turned that down. But two, I would already be up in Minnesota for a training camp, go see a couple practices. I plan on trying to do that in the future. And then I would have tried to swing through your neck of the woods, go see that Hall of Fame game, Hall of Fame induction ceremony, stuff like that, because that is happening later this week. We've got a game happening on Thursday, Hall of Fame game. You know, a lot of backups getting out there, which is fun. It's fine. But it is football. Right now, pads are banging against each other in the NFL. That is awesome to see. Not for everybody. You know, we do have some injuries happening and whatnot. We'll get into a little bit of that tonight. But I'm excited to go into this show. Definitely for the football stuff. A little touchy with some WNBA stuff. But it's going to be a fun time. It always is here on Raw Dog Sports, where we come at you with the raw authenticity. Whether you like it or not, you don't have to agree with us. We applaud that. Let us know that you don't agree. Let us know if you do agree. It is good to have that discourse. We want that here.
Yeah, absolutely. Because listen, I'm going to say some things today when we talk about the NBA. People are not going to like it. A very specific group of people are not going to like it. But I don't really care at this point. But you're all right. Pads are banging. Hall of Fame game is right around the corner. I wish that you could make it up here, actually. But the guys from Sportsocracy will be up here. So me and producer Amber will be down at the Hall of Fame induction. We've already got our tickets for that. So we'll be going down there, covering some content with those guys from Sportsocracy, and I can't wait to see them. It's going to be a total blast. I've never been to an induction before. I can't wait to see what it's like. But I mean, I'm thick in the middle of two-a-days. Like, we just finished our third two-a-day practice. I am dog ass tired. I don't even want to know how those guys feel because, I mean, they've been going tough for a while now. But we got a scrimmage coming up as well. Thursday is our scrimmage, same night as the Hall of Fame game. So I'm going to be a little preoccupied, and then I'm going to go and join in all the festivities after we're done with our scrimmage on Thursday.
And that's the thing is that, the Hall of Fame game, while it would be cool to go see just to have some football and stuff, the Hall of Fame induction ceremony is definitely kind of what you're going for. Look, I'm going to have an eventful Thursday night as well because, like I said, this storm damage, I've got 40 plus foot. I used a little bit of like redneck mathematics. I measured height of the tree and to a certain limb and then took some pictures and then just like, Kentucky windage, how high this tree is. It looks like the tree is about 40 feet high now. And there's another 15 or so feet of the top of that tree that is still hung up in the tree and kind of hanging on a little bit. And I'm going to try to scale this tree using old school logging or arborist methods with like the spikes on the boots and a harness and a strap that you keep hiking up your way up the tree. I'm going to scale this fucking tree on Thursday, maybe Friday, whenever the Amazon packages get here, with a chainsaw and start cutting down shit. And one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to become a vegetable, which some might say I already am. We might definitely get that comment after tonight's show.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. Or I'm going to have a real tough time walking for like a week because of the meaty clackers between my thighs. One of the two things is going to happen. I'm leaning towards the latter, and we'll see how it goes.
Everybody wants a big old set of meaty clackers. Have you ever arbored before? Have you ever climbed a tree? I don't know what the phrase would be, but
I have climbed trees as a kid, for sure. I've scaled trees. Not much more probably than like 10 feet or so. Okay. I don't have a fear of heights or anything like that, which is a good deal. And everything seems pretty straightforward, especially if you take things slow and methodical and understand what you're doing. Now, I will say this. One of the things in our, at least my community, your former community with the aviation crowd, you're not supposed to hunt for good weather. You have a authorized weather source. You're not supposed to hunt around for good weather. Last night when I was YouTubing this, because you can basically get that college education from YouTube, when I was YouTubing how to scale a tree, video number 1. This is informational purposes only. Do not attempt this. I have had multiple friends die from doing this. All right, click on to the next one. Same thing. Wouldn't recommend trying to do this unless you are a trained professional or you're being trained up for it. This is more like, hey, if you want to become a lumberjack or something like that in the future, this is what you're looking into. Don't do this. We've had plenty of friends die. Actually, the guy that I got the job from died from doing this. All right, click on to the next video. The third video I get to is some like Canadian redneck who's in like black leather pants and a black cutoff shirt, no safety equipment whatsoever, just a crazy Canadian redneck drawl like you're watching Trailer Park Boys. And this motherfucker's just woof, 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 right up to the top. And he's like, oh yeah, all I gotta do is flip the rope and get up there. Like it's no problem. I was like, this is my guy. I'm going to watch this video because we are kinfolk. We will figure this out together. So the hope is to get some cool videos and pictures of me going up, and they could be the last ones of me being able to say full sentences. Who knows? But of course, I will try to be as safe as possible because, dude, I don't want to miss a football season that we got coming up right around the corner.
That would absolutely be tough. I don't mind if I miss this football season. I feel like this football season might be real tough for my boys over there in brown and orange. But you know what? A lot of interesting things coming out of training camp. Training camps going on all over the place. So let's get into a little bit of tonight's show. Let's talk some contracts because there was some big time, not NBA. We'll get it over to the basketball bullshit after some good fun football talk. Bijan gets a huge deal, highest paid running back of all time. I mean, good for Bijan. I have always been happy when running backs get paid.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there are still a little bit of leeriness about, hey, should we be paying these guys this much money? They don't last that long. Now, Bijan is a freak. Bijan can do a lot of different things, catches the ball out of the backfield, doesn't necessarily take a lot of damage or hits, but that's also from an old standpoint of the offense they used to run. Kevin Stefanski, if he continues to run the offense that he has run, will probably run Bijan into the ground. So, I mean, good for him that he's going to get the money, but I am always nervous when running backs get fat contracts like this, because they become very easy to be like, you know what? No, we're not doing this. We're cutting this guy and we're moving on. I go back and I think about Todd Gurley, huge deal, right? And then just the wear and tear beat him to hell, injuries piled up, and then he was done. But we got Derpy hopping in here. That's right. To ex-divorced. That's right. I ex-divorced, which means I'm currently married. I think that's right.
Yeah.
But military vets, I am still currently one of those. Derpy, we appreciate you hopping in here, brother. So how do you feel about Bijan getting this fat fucking deal?
That's like, I am super stoked for him. Is $75 million over 3 years, 37 mil at signing, and 51 guaranteed. So it is obviously a big contract. You bring up the point of the running back contracts and how it makes you a little bit leery, and I completely get that. I was in that situation with Adrian Peterson when he was getting oodles and oodles of money, but again, he was a freak of a player. Bijan is one of those guys. There's, I would say right now, probably 4 guys that I would consider paying this sort of money to, and one of them was kind of fringe in Saquon Barkley, because Saquon's already getting paid pretty well, and he's a little bit older than some of the other guys that we're going to talk about here. But Saquon, he might be tailing off a little bit. We saw a little bit of a drop last year, but 2 years ago, he was best running back in the league.
Well, the entire offense for the Eagles was bad, which, by the way, the entire Eagles fan base is in our comment section on TikTok, absolutely tearing you apart. Which, by the way, I was a little shocked when I saw your record prediction as well, but these people on the internet suck.
Dude, I mean, I haven't looked at it. Don't know that I will, because I don't really care that much.
Yeah.
I think I said on that show that I was shocked when it came out like that. Sometimes you just put a whole bunch of ingredients in a bowl and see what comes out the other side. Sometimes it will be cake, sometimes it will be shit. Who knows?
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
I love that fucking quote. But that's the thing is, other than Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor are the 2 other guys that I would seriously consider giving this sort of a contract to. We'll see about Jeremiah Love and stuff going forward, but those are the premier backs in the league, and those are all the guys that are in the conversation outside of Saquon, because he's already been paid. Jahmyr Gibbs is looking for a new contract. Jonathan Taylor is looking for a new contract. Bijan gets this contract. Atlanta is kind of smart to go ahead and do this, because now you are setting the market and you're putting the pressure on these other teams to either match, meet, or exceed, depending on what their guy wants in-house. Jonathan Taylor obviously held out in recent history looking for this contract. It is scary, but these guys are the game-changing type of running backs that you can have on your team. Now, there's a lot of other good running backs in the league, but no one's going to be commanding this sort of money other than that crew. And it kind of makes sense, because especially for a Falcons team right now, you have a whole bunch of instability at quarterback. And look, we're going to get into this a little bit more today, but you got a whole bunch of instability at quarterback. You don't know what's going on with Tua. You don't know what's going on with Michael Penix. You don't know if they've got a future with this team, or, Penix's knees, joke, insert there. Tua's head, insert joke there. But you've got Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan. Defense, you've got some guys like, Xavier Watts is exciting, things like that, but you don't have a ton of super power on this team, star-studded power. Bijan is the guy to me. Drake London, I need to see, more of it. He had a real good year last year. Kyle Pitts, we need to see if he continues with the trend of getting one more touchdown for every year that he's in the league. But he started to kind of make good last year. But outside of that, solid offensive line. Well, you got to pay these star players because that's the lifeblood of your team. And with Stefanski being there, that's going to be the lifeblood of your team. But it is scary for sure because Bijan has always had the Robin to his Batman. He always had Tyler Algier there, who was a super dependable back. He's not there anymore. And you replaced him with Bijan Robinson, who looked like he had a ton of potential and just never kind of showed up to be the guy or even a good rotational guy there in Washington. And now that's your backup there in Atlanta. And I personally don't feel fantastic about that. Bijan is your workhorse. You're paying him like the workhorse. He should be getting 80% or more of the carries, and he's never had to do that. And so now you're paying this guy a lot. You're putting all your chips in on this guy, and you kind of have to. That's the situation that they're in. So it'll be real interesting to see, a year or two from now how we feel about this contract. But it makes sense. He's worth it in a vacuum. So is Jahmyr Gibbs. That'll be the next kind of, Jonathan Taylor, I think you can probably negotiate with him a little bit more just because of the age and whatnot, and get him probably around the same contract, if not a little bit less. Jahmyr Gibbs is truly the question because they are two different types of back, Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan, but they are both elite talents. And who's going to value who more, or are they going to get like identical contracts? We'll see.
I mean, I don't know if Jonathan Taylor would get. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's got a lot more miles on him, I feel like. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, could get there, could match or possibly exceed, depending on what Detroit decides they want to do, because he's a young back. I don't have a problem with Bijan getting paid. I'm happy for him. It always makes me very, very leery with the running backs.
It'll be more about with Jonathan Taylor how reasonable he's willing to be. Because, again, he held the Colts' feet to the fire a couple years ago in order to get a bigger contract. Mm-hmm. Is he going to try to do the same? Is he going to be reasonable about the fact that he does have more wear and tear, that he's older? I don't know. I don't know the man.
I don't know either, man. But we had a comment coming here I want to highlight real quick. The league is about Super Bowls not getting paid. I'm kind of tired of it, but that's why the modern era sucks. So, let's talk about this a little bit because Derpy is right? The league, you're there so you can try to win and reach the highest goal, the highest level of achievement in football. But only one team gets that, and careers in the NFL can be very, very short. So I don't think there's anything wrong with caring about the money you're trying to make while you're in the league. Obviously, you want to win. You want to be on good teams. Nobody likes getting their ass beat. I have never met an athlete in my life who's like, "Oh yeah, that loss was real fun." Not when you're actually, not when you're actually being competitive. So, it makes sense why they care about the money a little bit. They have to care about the money because they've worked their lives away to reach this point because the promise of a better life is on the other side of it, right? So while I agree that Super Bowls are the ultimate goal, I think the money is an important factor for a lot of these guys, and I don't think there's a problem with that.
Yeah, I definitely get where Derpy's coming from. It should be about the Super Bowl, and in some ways, it would be nice for me to be a little more of a casual fan and take a step back and just worry about only the football on the field. And you can kind of check in and check out whenever the season starts and whenever the season ends for your team. And I'm not saying that's what Derpy's saying at all, or that's who he is as a football fan. I'm saying it would be nice to not have to worry about contracts. There was a time in my life that I could care less or not know anything about the contracts. I was just worried about the product that was on the field. But the fact of the matter is that the NFL makes more money than can be printed, essentially. There's an economic factor to it for sure, where there is a salary cap. Teams are required to, over 5-year spans, spend, I believe, like 90% of that salary cap. It is kind of already socked away. The owners don't have to worry about it. That is just a commitment that they have that these players have to get paid. Now it kind of comes down to percentage of the cap that goes to different positions. We brought this up in previous years. Typically, teams that pay their quarterback more than 15% of the cap don't win. They don't make it to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl winners, outside of certain small instances, their quarterbacks are getting paid 12% or less of their cap, because then that allows you to build a good roster around it. That's kind of the dynamic that I care about more, because look, if you get wrapped up around the actual number too much, it will start to blow your mind. $75 million over 3 years is insane, especially if we look at this 5 years ago. But in the current market where the salary cap keeps going up, and we have gambling, and we have all these new TV contracts, the teams are making stupid amounts of money. If we were talking about quarterbacks like a Baker Mayfield, who apparently allegedly got offered like 55 million a year and he turned it down, that's an insanely high contract a couple years ago, where you're like, that's Patrick Mahomes money that he just turned down. But it's about the percentage of the cap, and the percentage of the cap in those future years that he would actually be taking up. That's where I've been trying to shift my mind's focus, is not the number, percentage of the cap for that specific position. And for Bijan's case, 25 mil out of what was almost 400 million this year, we'll say. Was that the cap?
I have no idea. I had to look it back up. I know it was much higher than previous years, but I do not know it off the top of my head.
I think it was around 400 million, but let's see here. Estimates for 301 million, maybe? I can't tell. I don't know. Either way,
301.2 is what I'm seeing. Base salary cap 327. So it looks like we're at just over the 300 mark-ish right now.
Okay. So I'll do a real quick calculation, because I'm not good with this off the top of my head. But that's about 12% of the cap going towards running back. That is a high amount. That is a significantly high amount. Now, obviously, it's not straight 12 million, because you have some coming out of the cap this year and some in future years, and the money gets spread out. But just baseline, you're talking about 12% of the cap. That's very high for a running back. Running backs should probably be making between 5 and 8%, and then those elite ones get closer to the 10%. Obviously, he's kind of busting that ceiling with getting 12%, but a lot of that is probably going to be in future years, where it'll be, not as high of a percentage, because the cap goes up. Cap go up.
Yeah,
so
the cap goes up every fucking year, because the NFL is a money printing factory.
Yeah. So it is definitely an interesting dynamic. And that's the other factor that I just want to bring up again. These guys going out here and playing are essentially mercenaries. They are putting their lifespans on the line. A lot of these guys don't live as long of lives as normal human beings, because of the physical tools that they're putting their bodies through. Some of them develop CTE. Some of them have career-ending injuries where they can't walk right again, or their fingers are mangled. You look at some of these guys that are going to be at this Hall of Fame induction ceremony, that they can't grab things because their fingers are fucking mangled. They are putting their lives on the line for a short time span, most time a decade or less, in the hopes that they make enough money to provide for their family and generations. It's the same kind of viewpoint that I have of like military veterans. You might do 2 years, you might do 20 years, but if you do, combat deployments and stuff like that, you've earned some of those disability benefits. And to an average American, they might say, "Wow, that's an insane amount of money that you're getting monthly basis for disability benefits." But put your life on the line. You put your body on the line. You might have physical ailments for the rest of your life that you have to deal with that other people normally wouldn't. And so you've kind of earned those benefits. Same thing for the NFL players. They've earned the right to this sort of money because they are sacrificing themselves for our entertainment. So that's kind of where it comes from for me. I don't try to get wrapped too much around the numbers anymore. It is definitely more of a percentage thing for me.
That makes sense. I understand why the percentage. We always talk about quarterbacks and their percentages. So I get it. I 100% get it. I've been kind of trying to figure out a way to transition into this next topic, and I don't really have it. But do you want to talk about any other contracts before we jump over to the WNBA? Because
I thought that was going to be your transition.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. Okay, so listen, I'm going to say a couple of things before we get into this. I do not and have never hated anybody of any persuasion. What you do with your life is what you do with your life. If you are happy, then I am happy for you. I just want that to be known before I say all the things that I am about to say. The WNBA is currently in a massive controversy around not even a star player, maybe one of the more popular players in the league in Sophie Cunningham, but certainly not a star player in the league. And it's all because somebody decided that they were going to ask Sophie Cunningham a question, right? And she gave her honest response to a question. She doesn't believe that trans athletes should be competing in women's sports. And I got to tell you, I 100% agree with her take and her stance. The idea that transitioning from male to female in some way makes you a woman or the same physical capabilities of a woman is purely asinine. And I'm going to say another thing. Also, ladies, I don't hate you, love you, respect you. I love my wife. I have 2 young daughters who are athletes. Girls, women are in the human species is not one of the species where the females are the physically dominant. Males are the physically dominant sex in the human species. We are bigger, faster, and stronger. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Now, could those WNBA players beat me in basketball? Fuck yeah. Would an Olympic track athlete from the U.S. female team smoke me? Sha'Carri Richardson would bury me in a race. But that's not what we're talking about. And that's where I think this conversation has gone. The conversation has become so intellectually dishonest that it's infuriating to me, which is why I wanted to talk about it. Because we're not comparing me, random Joe Schmo, fucking sitting on his ass, talking behind a computer screen, competing against professional athletes. We're talking about professional athletes competing against professional athletes, and one of them has a very clear advantage based on physiology. Yeah, there's a lot of girls who are faster, bigger, stronger, all of that than other men, but that's not what we're talking about. You have to actually put the levels together. You can't say that, well, a professional boxer could beat up a high school boy. Well, no shit. She's a pro. That's the way it's supposed to be. But if you put her in the ring with a pro boxer, she's going to get tuned the fuck up. I am sorry that is harmful to some people. I don't know why it's so goddamn harmful to some people, because it's the truth. Maybe that's the part of society where we're having a really hard time accepting things. We can't hear the truth if it's not what we like. Like, if you go look through all of our fucking comments, and if we don't say that their team's the best, we don't know shit. This is a very similar thing. If you don't say the thing that I like, it's bad, it's wrong. And that's just absurd. So Sophie Cunningham answered a question. She answered it honestly. And she has even said that she doesn't hate anybody. She does not care about the trans community and doesn't think about them negatively at all. What she is making the point of is that there is a distinct advantage that men have. Trans women also have that distinct advantage over a purely biological female athlete. I don't understand why the discourse has gotten so far off and why everybody is just trying to word their arguments in a way where, oh, well, we see girls play football. That's not the same thing. Men's sports have a higher level of physicality than women's sports. A girl that can play on a football team is playing up a level. A male who can't swim for fuck all in college decides, he's down here, decides, hey, I'm not very good at this. I'm going to do it as a female, or they decide to transition. And Leah Thomas is like, hey, I'm really good at fucking swimming now. Playing up to the boys level should not be an argument to where, well, look, it's okay here, because it's not okay. You're not being honest about what's happening. The male species, the male human species is the more physically dominant. We cannot have trans or any men who have been through puberty competing against female athletes. And I relinquish the floor. Evo, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think you, I don't know if I'd say eloquently put that, but it is not an eloquent topic. We're not eloquent dudes. It's, I think you put it very well. And we share the same beliefs. I'm not going to bemoan it too much. The only caveats that I would put to that is that, like you said, men are more physically dominant than women on the whole.
Right.
There's always outliers. There's always going to be outliers.
A woman can kick your ass. If there was a fucking female like Ronda Rousey in her heyday. Who?
Brittany Griner.
Okay. Yeah, probably. But she probably would tune you up. That's not the point though. Because have you ever trained to be an MMA fighter?
No.
That's the thing. It's like we're trying to compare people who aren't an athlete to people who are athletes. Like we're just trying to pick and choose and pull from, oh, this makes my argument sound good, so we'll do this, and it's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, there's always going to be physical outliers. We'll harken this back to the military to an extent. Like, there's a reason why there's not very many women in special operations. Now, there's things beyond just physiology reasons behind that, and we're not going to get into that. Just physiologically speaking, it is a very, very difficult job. It requires a different physical nature to it. Some women can do that. Not every woman can. And that's why you don't see too many women in special operations or going through Ranger school and things like that. The ones that do, I applaud them. That is awesome. They're better than me. That's like, we've got no problem saying that.
Nope,
but when it comes to sports, again, which, especially when it comes to professional sports, for us, it's purely entertainment. That's one conversation to be had as far as whether or not trans people can participate in those or not. And there's good reason for that. For me, it really comes down to kids, youth sports, and even getting into some of the collegiate athletics. One, I think that there's a conversation that's not for this show about whether or not, transition should be happening for children and stuff like that. And that's something that personally I don't feel comfortable with. I can't protect every kid. If the government wants to try to put regulations on whether you can or can't do that, that's on them. But for me, I know that, with my kids, if they were wanting to transition, this is something that obviously be deep conversations to be had between myself and my spouse and my kids. But it's not something that, the same way that I'm not going to go let them get their face tattooed when they're 10 years old.
Right.
I'm not going to let them start to physically modify their body, whether that's chemically or through surgeries and things like that, just because when I was that age, I wanted to be a fucking F-16. That sort of conversation. Like, not to make a joke out of this, but like, it's a tough thing to have that conversation. But that's not what this is about. It's more about the sports part of it, right? And there's physiological differences.
I'll add to that with the kids too. Like, because I have two young daughters. You are raising young boys, right? I have my son, 14, very physical athlete, makes total sense. But I also have two young daughters who do gymnastics and they play soccer. And you know what? This year, Elizabeth decided she was going to do flag football, competed on a boys team. Cool. It was awesome. I loved coaching. I'm making both of the girls wrestle. And there's not just a girls wrestling team. At a younger age, competing against the boys, I don't think is a problem. And I actually think it's a good thing for the girls because they're going to have to compete against boys their whole life for a number of other things. But one place where they shouldn't have to compete as they get older is in athletics. If my daughters continue to play sports and do all of these things and go on and are playing in high school or whatever, and they lose opportunities in the name of inclusion of somebody who is not a biological female, I'm gonna be fucking furious, as I think most parents would be if you're raising daughters. Like my girls are young, but Aubrey works her ass off, like on travel teams, and like they want her to do team gymnastics. And so she's putting in a ton of work already because she loves it. And now if she loses those chances because somebody comes in and they're better, well, the only reason that they're better is because they're a fucking boy and they're older. That's not fair. That you're screwing out a whole generation of potential young women, because we're not seeing this problem at the NBA level, at the WNBA level, at any of those major levels, which I think is part of the point that most liberal people are trying to make on this topic. Oh, this isn't even a problem. You're right. At the professional level, it's really not a problem. Where it is a huge problem is at the youth, high school, and collegiate level. And it is becoming more and more in focus every day. We have got to figure out something. And I don't want to exclude trans people from participating in sports because it's fantastic. Sports are the greatest thing that humans have ever invented, in my opinion. So they should have an opportunity to play, but not at the detriment of a whole group of young women should they be allowed to do that. We're not going to take away an opportunity to give an opportunity to somebody else. We should just give them the fucking opportunity. Now, if anybody wants to do that, I don't know. I don't have the funds to create a league for trans people. There might be people who are willing to do that. I have no idea who, and I'm not sure what they would compete in or who would watch. But this is not me saying that they should not participate in sports, and I don't think you're saying that either.
No, not at all. And you bring up a good point, about flag football and kind of that determining line is puberty. I played football with a girl growing up, tackle football in helmet, in pads through junior high school. I'm not going to say her name because I don't know how much she wants to be involved with this. And I really haven't followed her life too much going on in the future, but there was a point in junior high where she stopped playing with us because it was not a thing that could and look, all props to her for playing. Like, she's very good. And I'm, again, not positive. I'm pretty sure that she played on the semi-pro women's team, like tackle football team in Minnesota, and is still involved with it. Like, she's a badass. And she definitely rung my bell multiple times. Not that way, on the football field. Like, that's like fantastic for her. But at some point in time, it was going to, if she had the opportunity to play in a men's sport, continue going forward, she probably would have. But that's not even the difference. It's if a guy were to go into a women's league, right? A biological male goes into a women's league. That's where the problem. Yeah, and like you said, it takes away opportunities from other girls and things like that. Again, I don't want to bemoan the fact too much. I don't think that it's that insane. We want to be inclusive. We want to be inclusive of everybody, but it's the same thing that, like, we can't always get everything that we want. Just because I want to go 150 miles down the highway doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. And I shouldn't just be allowed to do that because that's the way that I feel. There's certain rules, laws, and we're not talking about, in this situation, I don't even want to talk about the governmental laws. We're talking about the laws of human life. It's just the way that human physiology generally is.
If they were praying mantises, they'd be dominating this shit. But that's just not the way our fucking species works.
Yeah. So, it's not that we don't want to support trans people or whatever. I am big into freedom of choice for people, as long as it doesn't affect other people. That's if I want to paint my house purple and I'm not in an HOA, I should be allowed to do that. My neighbors might hate me. They might not like it, but it's my choice. I'm about freedom of choice with that stuff. But the freedom of choice should not be negatively impacting and affecting everyone else. And in many ways that can happen, especially in those youth sports. And that's something that I think that we should probably try to avoid. So yeah, it's a tough conversation for sure, because again, We don't want to be, bad towards any minority group. We want inclusivity. We want everyone to be able to share in the joys and fun of sports. But in certain circumstances, that's not going to happen. It's the same way that I'm and you, we aren't going to go participate in the Olympics because we just physically are incapable of doing it.
I mean, I can hold a water jug at the end for somebody when they get done fucking running. That's about the extent of the Olympic athlete that I'm going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a tough conversation. And look, again, I said this early in the show. You can agree with us. You can disagree with us. I think that it is good to have an open discourse about this because as humans, we're smart. We figured out a lot of shit. The best way to move things forward is for people to talk and come up with good ideas. Let's come up with some good ideas to fix and resolve this situation that doesn't hurt certain groups of people, whether that is biological females or non-biological females. Like there should be a way forward that we can figure things out where everyone can generally, be in a positive space with this. That would be my hope.
Mine as well. Now we're going to stay at the WNBA for just a second because there was other news coming out of the WNBA. Actually, cool news, especially if you're here in Cleveland like I am. They're getting a new team here in Cleveland. The Cleveland Sirens were announced today. I thought Sirens was an interesting name to go with. But you know what? Their jerseys look badass. Their promo video was dope as fuck. I don't know that I love the Sirens name, but it might grow on me a little bit.
I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, when I think of a siren, I think of like the open ocean, like fucking old school waves crashing. I don't think of the Great Lakes.
Okay, what were you gonna call them instead?
I have no idea. We could have gone. It could have been the Rockers again. They could have literally just rebooted the Rockers, the Cleveland Rockers, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's the WNBA team that was once here. Like Cleveland's very nostalgic. I don't know if you guys know, but we're about our teams. We'll get those motherfuckers back any way we can. So I felt like the Rockers would have been cool, but they wanted to go in a whole new direction. I wish them luck. I hope the league gets their shit together because, man, there's just there's crazy shit going on there. Like gamble, side bet, put it on social media. I said the league will put it on social media for you, and then nobody will get in trouble. And we'll just take that shit down and act like it never happened.
Yeah, sounds perfect to me.
Yeah, you know what? You guys just keep doing your thing. People love the product. Anyways, moving on. Let's get into some stuff that is a little bit more fun to talk about. We got a Hall of Fame game coming up. We got a couple of very meh teams playing in a Hall of Fame game. But what I am excited for is my guy, Carson Beck, is getting a start. I want to see what Carson Beck looks like. Now, he's going to be going against a bunch of dudes that are not going to make an NFL roster.
Hey, don't disparage Kenny Pickett.
Okay, well, I mean...
That's former Super Bowl champ, Kenny.
Oh, God damn it. I don't... I forgot about the former Super Bowl champion. I had 3 Pro Bowlers and a Super Bowl champion in our quarterback room at one point. Crazy. Yeah. But are you like, how much of this game are you going to watch? And are you watching with any intent? Obviously, the Cardinals are not going to be very good. We have seen, if you've watched any clips coming out of their training camp, man, Cardinals fans have got to be just not very happy. Their line can't block for fuck. Marvin Harrison, depending on the day, looks fantastic or like he has never played football in his life. There is no in between.
The drops from Marvin Harrison, those drop videos are really tough. Really tough. Like, thought the world of Marvin Harrison, and he just has not put it together, man. I hope the best for him because I think that he's supremely talented, but I think that like mentally he might be shot. Like, I don't know. But yeah, that team sucks. And as far as the Hall of Fame game, every year I put it on, and every year it slowly becomes background noise. I will pay attention to, like, I will pull up the depth charts because you have to do that to know who some of these guys are. And there are certain players on every team that I know that I like through the draft process and stuff like that, that I've liked in the draft process in previous years. And I will try to watch these guys and see specifically how they're doing. But that's most of the time what I'm doing in preseason in general. With the Hall of Fame game, it is kind of a glorified scrimmage between the bottom of the roster, because this is the 4th preseason game now that we only have 3 for every other team. So yeah, it'll be on. I will be happy that it's on because of football, and I love that. But yeah, it definitely starts to become that background noise sooner than later. And I hope everyone stays healthy, because that field out there usually is pretty rough.
So there have been real bad years. Like, they canceled it at one point because they had I think it was spray painted that shit, and it was like sloughing off. Like, so I hope the game works out well. I'm excited for the entire weekend though, man. Some really cool names going in. Luke Kuechly is going to be one of the big names kind of headlining this thing. And I know that the Sportsocracy guys are very excited about that. They're Carolina people. Any name in particular, like, I can't wait to hear this dude talk. Can't wait to hear the kind of speech that this guy gives. One of those, maybe a fiery speech or something. You're like, this dude's going to fucking rip when he gets up there.
For the Hall of Fame inductions?
Yeah.
I'm excited for Larry Fitzgerald. Like, I am very intimately tied. With Larry Fitzgerald, because he's a Minnesota boy. Like, he was a all boy for the Minnesota Vikings. He's extremely tied in to the community in Minnesota. The church that I went to growing up, that was, like 10 minutes away from my house. He held a youth summer camp there every year for football. Like, I'm a huge Larry Fitzgerald fan. And then I think it's probably going to be one of the more emotional speeches as well, because Larry's father, Larry Sr., just passed this year, and had such an impact in the Minnesota community. Larry had a interview, I believe, in the last week or so, where he got to tell a story about his dad, and how he's been kind of tied in with the Vikings for such a long time. And his dad had talked to another previous employee that he had known when he was younger, and the guy was going through tough times, and his dad gave him $500 to get back on his feet or whatever, just kind of randomly, and got Larry kind of choked up a little bit talking about that story. And I think that it's so impactful for these guys to make it to the Hall of Fame, and so they kind of let their emotions out. So I'm excited to see him here. I'm sure he will talk about his dad during that, and his time in the league. And he's always been one of my favorite players in the NFL. So I'm excited to hear Larry Fitzgerald.
I can't wait to hear Adam Vinatieri. I want to hear the kicker. Not a lot of kickers going to the Hall of Fame, and Vinatieri is kind of a fun dude. Like, him and Pat McAfee are close.
Yeah.
So, like, that's going to be, I think, a really good, fun time. I don't know. Did they announce who is inducting each of these guys yet? I know that there's some people that have been contacted for sure about, I think it was what, Dick Vermeil was one, or
I'm not sure.
But man, I'm interested to see Vinatieri. Like, kickers don't ever get this kind of shine. Like, they never get the media, and they sure as fuck barely ever make it to Hall of Fame. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But with that, my man, the MLB trade deadline was yesterday. A lot of trades happened. I don't think we needed to get into baseball, because we don't want half of our viewership to leave the show as we're doing this. I love baseball, but man, people don't stick around for it. So,
yeah, you mean the Major League Dodgers?
Yeah. They're gonna listen. Baseball is going on strike next year, anyways, because the Dodgers have basically fucked baseball. We're gonna need a salary cap. They're gonna have to work out the deferred money bullshit. And things are not looking good for baseball going forward. I need the Guardians to win a World Series this year. They went out and made a ton of moves to try to make that happen. But there's almost certainly not going to be a baseball season next year, or at least it will be shortened until they can come up with a new collective bargaining. But with people wanting a salary cap, that's going to be a huge sticking point for the MLB and the MLBPA.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, let's do this, man. Let's get into some AFC and NFC South predictions. The people last week, some of them liked them. Some of them really fucking hated what we got. And here's the thing. If you're a fan of an NFC South team, I can tell you, you are not going to like my picks when we get to those. But Evo, my man, I'm ready whenever you are. We can go ahead and get into these record predictions.
Yeah, we'll jump straight into the hate bait. Again, at least for me, I picked every game.
Same.
Just going along week by week. I didn't go into this saying, oh, this Buccaneers team should be 12-4 or whatever, 12-5. That wasn't the intent, which is how the Philadelphia Eagles ends up with a record like they did for me last week. And I have at least, I think, one team that I'm a little bit more surprised about in my picks here for this week. But we'll go ahead. We'll jump right into this. AFC South and NFC South. We'll start with the AFC South. And here are your predictions, Mike.
Yeah. So AFC South, I really like a couple of these teams. I think the Houston Texans are going to continue to be very, very good. We talked about them briefly last week. They're going to start the season with the Bills. They're going to be very good in this division. Obviously, you can see 11-6, 5-1, and the Jags also 11-6, 5-1. I don't know what tiebreaker it's going to come down to there at the end, honestly. But when I was going through and filling all these out, I wasn't necessarily worried about the tiebreakers. The Texans' defense is fantastic. They've been really good. Danielle Hunter is a dog. Will Anderson is continuing to grow and evolve. He is going to be a nasty piece. They improved that running game by going out and signing an actual full-time premier back. This team should be on an ascension, control the ball a bit more, play really good defense. I like the Texans. I expect them to go out there and win this division. Jags, good team last year. I think they'll still be decent. I don't think they're going to fall off of a cliff or anything. But I don't know if they're going to, was it 13-4 they went last year? I think it's going to be really hard to go back and do again for the Jags. Now, I don't think that they're going to have a really good end to their season, which is kind of the reason that that they ended up being on the bottom half. I got them starting out really hot. Like through week 14, they're looking at fighting for that 1 seed. And then I got them running up against some really tough teams. Texans, Cowboys, Commanders, who I'm high on, all there towards the end of the season kind of knocks them down. So 11-6, 5-1. I think that will absolutely be in play. I know Jags fans were super pumped last year that they were able to kind of take a step forward. Trevor Lawrence looks like he might not be a complete bust, so that helps a lot. The Colts, I got to take a step back. Big step back in the division. What is Danny Dimes going to do? Do we know who Danny Dimes is going to be coming off the injury? We didn't know who Danny Dimes was really before. And then we're like, oh, my God, look at this guy. Woo! But we've seen Danny Dimes do this same song and dance before. Be decent and pretty good enough to get himself a nice fat contract. And then things kind of go off the fucking rails. I think the Colts take a step back. And then the Titans, Salah is a huge piece. I think they're going to be better, but they still need a lot of help on that team. Cornell Tate will be a big weapon for the offense, but I still think that they're behind all three of these teams, which makes their division record tough. And the Titans don't have the easiest schedule in the world either. They get to start off with the Jets. Actually, I got them winning 3 of their 4 games on the year in the first 4 weeks. And then just getting smacked around basically the rest of the way until they run into the Colts again. So right. I'm not high on the Titans, not high on the Jags. Texans and Jags should be decent. I got Texans winning the division.
I feel like this record prediction is probably a lot closer to chalk than maybe mine is. Texans are seen as the best team in this division, in my opinion, with the Jaguars close on their heels based off of what they did last year. I don't see things completely the same. I'll go ahead and throw my predictions up here, kind of run through it. So I do have the Texans as well leading, but I don't have as much of a drop off from the Colts. Jaguars do take a little bit of a step back, and the Titans a little bit better record than what you had them with, and definitely better than last year. So for me, look, the Texans, I think, are probably a top 4 team in the AFC. And obviously, yeah, there's only 4 divisions in the AFC, but I mean, like, as far as true competitors that could make a Super Bowl run, I actually really like the Texans. I think that their defense last year was gangbusters, and it's only gotten better. I mean, they just brought Jadeveon Clowney back, who, for all the issues with Jadeveon Clowney not living up to his draft status, he has been a extremely solid, consistent rotational player. That just adds to that defense. Like, that defense is going to be gangbusters again this year. The question always with the Texans has been the offense. And we saw CJ Stroud come into the league and be really good, and now he's kind of taken a couple steps back. This is a big proof year for CJ Stroud. I think a lot of those issues did come from the offensive line. That O-line ain't fixed, but they've got a lot more guys. I think they will be better. I don't think that they're going to be top half of the league better, but they will be better. And you are going to have a more consistent run game, like you brought up. Bringing in Dave Montgomery.
Yeah, Dave Montgomery.
He will be a good hammer. And then you have Woody Marks, who showed some good stuff last year. That's a good duo to have back there. Your running game will improve. Not having Joe Mixon there and what Joe Mixon was when he was still playing football and not with some weird injury, like that would have made that team a lot more dangerous last year. Now they're going to be able to have a consistent run game. And passing wise, you're getting guys back like Tank Dell, hopefully. You are seeing the second year from Jalen Noel. Like, you have Nico Collins, who is one of the most quiet, really fucking good receivers in the league. And we've seen CJ Stroud be able to do it as far as being a passer. Dalton Schultz at tight end. Like, they have good offensive weapons. We just have to be able to see the quarterback position kind of start to go back to what it was when, CJ Stroud was a rookie. I think they can do that. I think this is going to be an extremely dominant team. And at the end of the day, the defense is going to hold all the other teams that they play to relatively low scores, and the offense isn't going to have as much pressure on it. It is, if you score 21 points as the Texans, I think you're winning a majority of your
most games. Yeah.
Colts. So I am concerned with Daniel Jones for sure. But I do think that what we saw last year is this is a quarterback that's getting into, your 5, 6, 7 type range where he is shown who he is. He's shown what his peak can be. And there were times, especially early in the year, when he looked really good. Things started to derail when the injuries started to stack up. They have a really good offensive line, a good run game. Question mark with them for me, and why I think that they take a little bit of a step back, is the wide receiver room. You lose Michael Pittman and you invest a shitload in out Pierce. I don't think Pierce is a number 1 guy. I don't think they have a number 1 receiver on that squad. Josh Downs is a solid piece. Tyler Warren obviously is excellent. I think that offense can be good, not great, kind of like Danny Dimes, can be really good, maybe not great. It'll be interesting to see how he comes back from the injury. And then the defense is solid. A lot of big names there. Hopefully Sauce Gardner takes another step forward this year and kind of gets back to what he was. I got him with a positive record, obviously getting double-digit wins, but it's not as resounding, not as much fun as it was last year with that team, because they were a lot of fun for a while. And then the Jaguars, I do have them taking. I did not like the Jaguars offseason. They surprised me last year for sure. That defense was sneaky good, but I don't think the team got better this year. I don't think that their draft strategy was coherent at all. And they lost one of their biggest offensive weapons in, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say his name right, Travis Etienne, or now he says it's pronounced Achane. Something like that. Yeah.
Whatever. Remember, you just got to say it with the thickest fucking Creole accent that you can put in your mouth.
Dingo, dango, blah, 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 blah. Something like that.
Achane.
Either way, I think that Liam Cohen brought a good offensive system there. It helped Trevor Lawrence out a lot. They have some pretty solid receivers, especially if Brian Thomas can get back on track there. But losing that run game. And look, I like Bashal Tootin. I don't think he's a full-time guy. I don't think that they have a good running back room there. That's going to hurt them a little bit. I think that they actually regress. I think they regress this year and take a little bit of a step back, go to 8-9. And then the Titans, I got them at 5-12. I think that Robert Saleh is going to provide a boost there. Second year in the system for Cam Ward, going to be good for him to grow a little bit. And then, yeah, you bring in a Carnell Tate. So that offense is automatically going to get a little bit better there. And the defense should be better just by having Robert Saleh there because he can put together some pretty stout defenses. They're still a year or two away from being a competitive team, but they're more competitive than they were last year.
I agree. They're going to be better than they were last year. You would have to imagine the year of development is going to make them way better. But all right, man. Listen, I don't have too many problems with what you got here. I don't know that the Jags will take that big of a step back, but I see them regret. There's no way they're repeating 13 wins. Like that's not in the fucking cards. The Colts, I was a little surprised you went up with the leeriness of Danny Dimes, but listen, like you said, we don't do these and say, oh, the Texans are going to do this. The Colts are going to do this. We pick every goddamn game in week 1, and then we pick every game in week 2, and then 3, and go on and on. And whatever the records come out as is what the hell the records come out as. That's how we do this.
Yeah. I mean, Colts last year were 8-9. I think that they were on a trajectory to be an 11 or 12 win team with a healthy Daniel Jones. Losing him, it was fun to see Phillip Rivers and stuff go out there, but I think that they were on pace to be an 11, 12 win team. Things went awry because of the injury. Now I think they take a step back, but if you have Daniel Jones there for the entire year, they can still be a double-digit win team. That's kind of where I'm at with the Colts.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, man, let's move on to the NFC South. All right, this is me. And like I said, if you are a fan of one of the teams of the NFC South, you are not going to like my record predictions because these teams all suck ass still. Not one of these teams is good. We'll start at the top. I got the Saints winning this division resoundingly at 7-10. I think this is another year where we get nobody who is actually any good from this division. No over 500 records. I don't know that anybody in this division really did much to take a step forward. I think we're putting a lot in progression of Shuck, moving on from the Saints. Sure showed some signs. We think that, Jesus Christ, I just forgot the Panthers quarterback's name. Bryce Young. Jesus, thank you. Bryce Young. I don't think Bryce Young is taking a step forward. He's maybe took a step forward at points last year, but we also saw him take some big steps backwards. The Bucs are gonna be ass. Nobody's there. Everybody wants to leave. Baker ain't fucking happy. And then we still got the Falcons. I'm sorry, Falcons fans. This is not about you. I want you to know that. I did not pick the Falcons to suck because of all the shit you guys gave me last year when they did suck, and I called it. This is because they have no goddamn quarterback. I don't know what they're going to do with the quarterback spot, and I'm very concerned with the fit of the personnel and the offensive scheme. There is not a single team in this division that excites me. Like they do okay in their own division, but as soon as they go outside of anybody in their division, it ain't good. Like I got the Saints pulled up now. They start Lions, Ravens, Raiders, Falcons. Not bad. You can go 2-2 right there and feel like you're pretty good going through the rest of the year. I got them losing to your Vikings, though. Then I got the Giants getting them. Then the fucking Steelers. That's 3 straight. They're going to beat the Browns. I don't think the Browns are going to be very good. I got them beating the Panthers, but they're going to lose to the Bears, the Bengals, the Packers, the Panthers, the Bucs. They're going to split. This division's going to split a lot of these games. And outside of their division games, they don't have an easy schedule. Their non-division games are, where was it? The Lions, the Ravens, the Raiders. That's not bad. The Vikings, the Giants, who now are coached by Harbaugh, the Steelers, the Browns, the Packers, and the Cardinals. Like, the Cardinals you're going to beat, the Browns you're going to beat, but every other one of those teams by all reasoning should beat them. So yeah, I don't like any of these teams. Like, I want to try to convince myself that maybe one of these teams will take a big leap. I just don't see it. Evo, let's see what yours are. Yours are going to be probably a little bit different than mine. Not by a lot, but a little bit different. It looks like a little
bit different. Yeah. Because
those are almost identical with the exception of the top.
Yep. I am definitely more excited by the Saints. I think the Saints, look, I don't think Tyler Shuck is going to make some monumental leap this year. I thought he was pretty solid last year, but also older prospect. You're already getting a lot of what his peak potential is. He'll get better, not monumentally better, but I think that overall, like this Saints team, you had a first-year head coach figuring shit out with a pretty ass roster, and they were able to do some more exciting things, especially towards the end. I think this team did get better this year. I think that I'm very confident in the Saints winning this division. I was surprised when I got to a 12-5 record with them, but I think that they are going to be a team that sneaks up on a lot of people. They have a good running back room, like Kamara splitting time with Etienne or whatever you want to say his name is at running back. Yeah. They got a good wide receiver room. You know, Olave gets a big contract. They bring in the hot rookie from ASU. The defense is going to be a little bit better. I think that they should be able to generally walk all over their division. And I think the Saints are going to surprise people. It's not, I want to say it's like a hot take, but like there's a lot of people out there that are starting to say like, hey, the Saints actually might kind of sneak up on people this year and be pretty good. 12-5 to me is aggressive for the record. I admit that. But again, I didn't go and say, oh, the Saints ended up 12-5. Let me go back and change a couple of these games. This is just how I saw it playing out week to week. Buccaneers. I like a lot of the players on the Buccaneers. I think they too will be asked this year because there's turmoil. Todd Bowles, I don't think is going to last.
You won't make it all the way through the season. Nope.
I think that Baker is obviously upset. You have Vita Vea trying to get out. You've got some young pieces. Like I love Bucky. You know, I like Emeka Egbuka. I like some of their pieces there for sure. Ruben Bain on defense, I like, but what's the safety's name? I can't think of his name. Is that Winfield? Love Winfield. The Winfield gets hurt quite a bit and is now getting a little bit older. But like I like a lot of these players on this Bucs team. I just think that there is dysfunction out the ass here. And the players are not bought in on the system with Bulls. I don't think that they're going to be too great this year. Falcons, same thing that you said there. I think that, quarterback is extremely important. I think that at their peaks, both Penix and Tua can be really good. I think we might never see those peaks for those guys again because of injury concerns. On top of that, offensively, I don't know that Stefanski works. Like, it is great for run games. And you just paid Bijan a lot of money to be a really good run game. And Drake London had a really good year last year. Kyle Pitts had a really good year last year. But I'm not super sure about how that system, if it's going to take advantage of those guys, especially when you have the questions at the quarterback. And then on defense, look, we've said before, like, hey, these guys need to get more edge rush and stuff like that. Well, they get Jalen Walker, torn ACL. There are other defensive end, big legal troubles. Like, I don't know that I can trust him. I don't know that I can trust a lot of the guys in this defense. I don't think the defense is going to be very solid. Do you really like Xavier Watts? That's the key highlight on that defense for me. But a lot of questions otherwise. And then the Panthers. Look, the Panthers last year ended up winning the division at 8-9. No winning records in the NFC South last year. 8-9 for the Panthers, 8-9 for the Bucs, 8-9 for the Falcons, and 6-11 for the Saints. Look, Bryce Young, you said he took steps forward and steps back last year. I thought he took steps forward, and the steps back were just his normal. They weren't steps back. That was just like kind of the bad that we've seen from Bryce Young. I don't I don't like a lot of what's on this team, primarily at the quarterback position. I think that Bryce Young is kind of a failed project at this point, and they are teetering right now with being 5-12, where they're going to pick top 10 probably, but realistically, they need to probably hit the reset, move on from Bryce Young, because I don't think that he's going to be the answer.
They fucked their running back room up, man.
Yeah.
Like letting Rico Dowdle get out of there made no sense. Like he was the most explosive player on the offense. You're like, nah. Makes no sense.
Look, I like Jalen Coker. I like Ted McMillan. I think they got some cool receiving options there. I don't know that Bryce is the guy for it. Defense is still, they are getting better, but they aren't good. Like the players that they brought in, I think have made them better, but they're still not good. So, yeah, I'm just not feeling it for the Panthers. Yeah, that was them hitting their peak of everything aligning last year, and that got them to 8-9. And I don't see that happening again this year. So, look, NFC South again, one of the worst divisions of football this year, in my opinion. I do think the Saints can be a surprise team, so I'll kind of put my stamp on that now. I think the Saints, again, if I just had to say what I think that their record could be, I think 10 wins is probably their peak. Obviously, I was able to get to 12-5 by picking game by game. Again, I'm not going to go back and start throwing losses at them to make it feel better. That's what I was able to come up with for the Saints team and all the other teams here in the South. So hate on it if you want. I think the Saints might be. And look, I'm not a Saints fan. Like, there's a lot of history between the Saints and my Vikings. I don't like seeing them go 12-5 in this prediction, but it is what it is. I'm trying to be honest with it.
I feel that. Producer Amber was dropping some notes in here while we were talking. I want to make sure that we get some of those because she did us a solid. Because I asked about, who are the inductors for the inductees. Larry's son is going to be announcing him. Luke Kuechly, it's going to be his dad. Adam Vinatieri is going to be inducted by Carly Ursay Gordon. Drew Brees by Sean Payton. And Roger Craig is going in by Jamie Williams. Also, producer Amber decided that she was going to do this experiment as well. And she had learned how goddamn complicated it can be when you when you have no anticipation of what the records are going to be coming out. You're like, oh shit, how the fuck did that happen? Sometimes her record, she's got Houston going 9-8, the Jags 6-11, Colts going 5-12, and Tennessee going 2-15. So she does not like that division. However, I'm pretty sure her homework came out. The Bucks are going 12-5 according to producer Amber. The Saints 6-11, Falcons 5-12, and the Panthers 4-13. So shout out producer Amber for actually going through, taking the time to do this and understand what goes into it. And thank you for the notes as well. But my man, I think that takes care of our AFC and NFC South predictions.
It does. Now we can make sure these videos get out there in short clips and receive all the hate. We feed off it. We love it. Let us know what you think the record prediction is going to be, especially if you are a fan of one of those teams, because I'm sure it's going to be dramatically different unless you're a Texans fan or for both of us, I guess, Saints fans.
That doesn't mean shit, man. I had the fucking Eagles going 11-6, and I'm like, oh my God, the Eagles hate. 11-6. What fucking hate is there? People just want to bitch about things. But you know what? I'm here for it. I'll get in the comments. I ain't got nothing but time. I'm a disabled veteran. I got nothing but time and fucking energy. But my man, we ready to wrap this bad boy up?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in to Raw Dog Sports. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime that you give some time to me and Evo, we are forever grateful. I'm going to give Evo one last word, then we're going to bounce the hell out of here until next week. We're going to be coming back with the West predictions next week, and hopefully some cool shit coming out of the Hall of Fame induction. But Evo, with that, take it away, brother.
It's a pretty regular message on the show. Check on your teammates. Make sure you guys are doing good, and gals are doing good. Take a little bit of time. Check in on somebody you haven't talked to in a while. Make sure they're doing all right.
Love that message, guys. Thank you very much, Evo. I appreciate you guys. Be good to yourselves. Be good to the people around you. I'm Mike. That's Evo. We will be back next week. See you.